The hoes gon' love this.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Mr. Aguilar. How you guys doing today? It's Come a Vibe here. We got here N9ne today in the building. It's been a little while since we actually shot an episode. It's been like 2 weeks. Because Super Bowl, we took a break because of like Super Bowl and all
Yeah,
that.
we did, but I think we did shoot like that week before. So
yeah, we had some stuff, content and editing we had to do, but we didn't drop for like the past 2 weeks, so we might be a little rusty. I don't know. But we have here today Ashten, Ray.
Yo.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Pretty good.
First of all, I want to mention your Instagram page. Like, this is so random probably, but your Instagram page looks really like artistic.
Yeah.
Who does your graphics or photography?
Okay, so I'm stupid, like, picky when it comes to, I guess, like, the way that I present my brand, right? Because realistically, artistry is a brand.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelby Rec does a lot of my photography stuff. He did a lot of my creative directing when it came to, like, my Instagram. So that's who does a lot of that.
It looks really cool.
It does. And I could tell, like, you're kind of picking away with what you put out, but I think that's the reason where you're at. You give that artist look on your page. So.
100%. Yeah, it's all like, it's all about being a brand and presenting yourself, right? So that's just the way I am.
And even with your music, too, you have a great quality with your music, like the sound, the song itself, and the lyrics, too.
100%.
So.
Yeah, so when it came to, like, myself, I'm always going to be my biggest critic, regardless of if I think the song is good. I'm hoping the fans are going to think it's good, but I'm putting it out for myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always going to take the quality over everything, hence why I only have, 4 songs, 5 songs. I would rather put out quality music than, albums, EPs, single, when I could put out a big quality song and do well on number-wise.
Yeah, you can definitely tell, though.
Yeah.
So where does your journey start? How long have you been making music?
So I've been making music for 3 years.
Okay.
I started professionally making music when I was in college. So I went to the University of Central Missouri there in Warrensburg. And my best friend actually passed away when I was 18. He took his life to suicide. So that was a way for me to, like, really cope, right? And that's why I wrote my first song called Sober. He was really, big in certain kind of things, and no one could stop it except for himself, and he just couldn't get over that. So with that being said, I wrote Sober for myself to kind of, like, cope with that mechanism there, and I put it out for myself. I was hoping it was going to catch traction, and it did. Spotify showed a lot of love, and we did like 70,000 streams in the first week.
It's crazy.
In the first week, I didn't know anything about music. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anybody in the music industry, except for my manager now, but we weren't really talking at the time. He was kind of doing his own thing with his band and such. But so I put it out for myself, and it did really well. So at that point, I was like, yo, like, maybe I should really keep this going, and so I kind of bounced back off of it, and I wrote my second song called Alone, and that was my biggest song to date. We've done 10 million plus streams across platforms.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so Alone went crazy because I actually put it out the February before COVID. COVID dropped in March. So I put out Alone that February, and it was super slow. It wasn't like Sober where it, like, picked up really quick, right? It went really, really slow, and I was like, oh, like, people maybe not be fucking with it, right? They might be like, it's cool, but it's not where Sober was, right?
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and everybody got locked down, right? So everybody was at home, stuck. Everybody was alone, and so Spotify had this crazy playlist called COVID-19 playlist, and I was actually the 3rd song on the playlist. And I was getting 50 to 60,000 streams a day, going crazy. Yeah, and I ended up doing that. Like, Alone changed my whole career. There's a post on Instagram I can show you, and it's got 4 million views on Instagram, like 155,000 likes. It's crazy, and that's where it all really started. So
Yeah. How did they find your song? Spotify.
I don't know. I don't know if it was from that Instagram post. I don't know if it was from like the algorithm that was like people were searching the song alone. I don't know if people were, if it was maybe put on like another playlist that somebody from Spotify found it.
Yeah.
But it was honestly like I woke up one day and I was just like, what the hell is going on, bro? Like,
Did you say the playlist was called Alone?
so no, my
Or
song's
COVID?
called Alone. So the playlist is called COVID-19.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
COVID-19.
Okay. What about, did it blow up on TikTok?
No, so I wasn't really hip on the whole TikTok grind until this past year. Honestly, like I was kind of against it. Not gonna lie, like I was like, TikTok's another Vine. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't want to be a part of it. But then like my manager was like, "Yo, if you're not on TikTok, bro, what are you doing?" Like,
Exactly.
so I was like, "Oh, all right, bro." Like, so.
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. So that song blew up, and then what was your next step? I guess like
So the next step from there was to.
because COVID did take a while. Just like
Yeah, COVID was there for a minute. Music was kind of put in like a standstill, right? So like nobody was touring, nobody was doing shows, no nothing. So like I think COVID for artists was a big time to be creative. You know, this was the time for you to sit back and write and do your thing. During COVID, I actually dropped out of college. So I was like, you know, I want to pursue music full time. So I ended up dropping out after my second year of college to move to Kansas City, you know, even though it's only like 50 minutes away. But I did move to Kansas City, and at that point, I was like, I didn't really know what to do. You know, I was kind of like, where's the next step do I need to be in the music industry, right? Where do I need to be the next big thing, who to meet, etc. And remember, I dropped out of college, and with COVID putting jobs at a limit, I didn't have a job at the time, and I was door dashing, bro. As funny as that sounds, and it's crazy to think now where I'm at now.
Yeah.
I was door dashing at the time, and it's a funny story because I was picking up an order in Lee Summit, and that's how I met N9ne.
really.
So
Okay.
I ran into him
That's
at
cool.
a Spin Pizza there in Lee Summit. Him and his fiance now, Kristen, they were walking out, and I was walking in, and obviously everybody's gonna notice who N9ne is. You know, it's like, come on, dude, he's a legend. And I, as any artist would, I pitched my music. I was like, yo, you should check me out, man. And I ended up sending him, he ended up checking me out on his way home. And funny enough, I was like, man, this dude's not going to check my music out. Like, he said he was going to. But I was like, he's so busy. You know, he's too big of an artist. He's not going to check an artist like me out, you know? Funny enough, an hour later, I get a message on Instagram like, yo, you're fire. Like, let's work sometime. I'm going to put you on my next album. And he did.
What?
That's crazy.
So, yeah. So that's how it, like, all came apart.
Dang, that is crazy though. You just door dashing and.
Door dashing, and it changed everything. So
Maybe
shout
we
out to
should start
It's a cool story. That's like,
You were on his album. There's a song Special, right?
Special, yeah. So it's on the Ashten album. Song's called Special. It's got T-Pain on it as well. So yeah.
Dang, how was that moment? Like, was that feeling?
It was a surreal moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, as any artist, you know, in your career, you wish to do big things, right? So that was one of those moments where it's like, hey, we've hit an accomplishment, right? And how do we now? I guess like any artist would think about is how do we do better from here now?
Yeah.
So what's the next step to do bigger, you know? And but at that moment, I was like, man, this is so surreal. This is like something that would never happen to somebody like, you know, a kid from St. Louis, like, that's not ever from Kansas City, that knows nobody from Kansas City, and ran into somebody at a pizza shop.
yeah.
It's such a weird story, but it's crazy how it all comes apart.
It is, yeah. So when you did that music with them, is that something that you guys went to the studio and did it? Or?
Yeah, so I got invited over to Strange Land right there, and I did their music. I recorded Special there in Strange Land, and whenever we did Convenient, we also did, he recorded there in Strangeland as well.
Okay. Do you feel like your connection with him has grown? Like he's helped you? And
100%.
That's good.
Yeah. Tech is one of those humble dudes, man. Like, Tech is he wants to see people win, honestly, and he wants to see, you know, the new generation of artists do well. And I think he shows a lot of love to especially Kansas City artists. Not only just Kansas City, but like in general. You know, he puts on a lot of people for just because he wants to. You know, it's not like he's forced to in any kind of way. You know, he does it because he wants to see them win and do big things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he does.
What about you were talking about artists, but what about podcasts?
Podcast?
You think he would ever come on the podcast?
I
don't
actually
know.
DM'd him once, but he didn't reply.
I don't know. It's maybe something we can work out.
That'd be crazy. Yeah.
That'd be crazy. I went to. I didn't even tell you. I went to the. I saw him performing at the Super Bowl thing.
Oh yeah.
The parade.
Yeah.
I went for a little bit with Sammy.
Did you record?
Nah, like I deadass just went on a bird. That's the best way to go. That's the best way to go if you don't live in those like nice apartments. Get a fucking bird.
Oh yeah.
I got a bird and we got there so quick. I parked like by Westport and we took a bird, rode it all the way. We got there in like 5 minutes. I don't know how, because it's like downhill. So we got there pretty quick, and nobody was using birds. I'm like, these people are dumb. They're walking.
They're
far
walking.
as
Yeah.
hell. We took birds, and Sammy. I could have got him a group ride. I didn't. But he was riding behind me. He was holding on to, you know how we did that one time? Yeah, and then we got there quick. It was so packed. We couldn't go anywhere. We were trying to get pictures because I'm trying to teach him photography. And he's tiny. He's actually taller than me. I don't know why I think is he taller than me? I don't know. Anyways, it was just packed. Like, and then the crowd, we got all the way in, tried to take pictures of like N9ne and all the players and stuff, but we just couldn't, so we just ended up leaving. But I saw him perform a little bit.
Dude, I heard so I didn't actually go down to like the parade. I heard there was like people camping out and stuff. Like that's wild. Like people, I seen on like Snapchat and stuff. People like camping out at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, dude.
Right there at the gate. And
Crazy.
I'm like, you guys are dedicated.
Yeah.
Really dedicated.
No, yeah, we got there. What's it called? So the parade started at 1, I think.
Yeah.
People were there at, like,
noon. Yeah.
Noon. It started at noon, but we got there. We got to Kansas City at 30 minutes before or something like that, or 15 minutes, and we got in front we got a pretty good spot, even from the people that were camping. So they must. Yeah. You just need if you get a bird, you'll be fine next parade or something like that. Just get a bird.
Boom.
But yeah, that would be awesome if we got N9ne.
That would
be crazy.
Who
else is like a big artist that you've met, or you said T-Pain, or
I've never like actually met T-Pain in person.
Okay, but you still,
Yeah, we collabed, in a way.
What about other artists?
Oh man, artists that I've met.
Or collabed.
Yeah. I do got some cool collabs coming out. I don't know how much I can really talk about those collabs. I'm like sitting thinking. I do have a collab with Ted Park coming out. Mm-hmm. He's a rapper, but he's more in like the K-pop lane.
Gotcha.
He's pretty big. That's something that we're working on. There's a couple more, but I don't know how much I'm really supposed to talk about them, so I'm not going to talk about them.
Gotcha.
Now, artists that I have met, big artists you said. I guess I'm like, what's the scale of big, like...
Your version of big.
Man. There's a lot of them. Machine Gun Kelly.
Really?
I ran into him. I ran into G-Eazy in New York once.
Wow. That's great.
Sitting here thinking.
You start traveling with him.
Yeah. There's a lot of artists.
Traveling in general.
There's a lot of cool artists that that I know like that are bigger, but I wouldn't say like on that kind of scale. Like Emblem 3, for instance. So my manager Jack drums for them. They run like America's Got Talent, and they have a big song called Chloe, and so yeah, I mean it's all about just just networking, meeting new artists.
Yeah, then I also saw you were you on the Breakfast Club or
The Breakfast Club? Yeah, I did a little interview with them. Basically, we were talking about how like being inspirational, and kind of talked a little bit more about sober and alone, like the struggles of like depression, and how like music got me out of that. So.
Was that like they reached out to you type thing?
So it was kind of like it was my publicist at the time. He ended up making that happen. So yeah, that's how that came about.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be watching some of their content out there. So.
Yeah. So. It's an experience, like when you see things when you're coming up, right, as an artist, you're like, oh, that's something I've always wanted to do, and then you do it and you're like, oh shit.
We're here.
We're here.
So
what do you have planned next with your music? for these couple of months?
So these next couple of months, I've been on a big hiatus, you know, kind of taking care of what I needed to do with myself, you know. I feel like health and mental mindset is like a big thing, right? And so I kind of took some time to myself, and I told that to my manager, and I was like, hey, like, we're going to take some time, and we're going to sit back, and we're going to kind of see what our next moves are here, which I also do regret, right? Because now I feel like I'm going back in place, like I'm going back in steps, and which I'm not, but I always feel like that way. My next steps is, you know, I'm releasing a couple more songs this year. I am touring this year. We'd already have a tour locked in. Again, not really sure if I'm able to speak on that yet, but we are touring this year. And just keep the grind going, you know, doing some music festivals. I played Breakaway Music Festival last year here in Kansas City, and that was insane. They had like the Chainsmokers and Illenium, Alice in Wonderland, and so yeah, Bryce Vine. So that was crazy. He met all those artists as well.
Have you ever performed like here in Kansas City, like with any other artists like N9ne or anything like that?
Have I performed with them? No, I've never performed with N9ne. I wish. I have not. I've always headlined all my shows here in Kansas City. I've always had a quick fan base to, you know, buy tickets and really pop out. So my first show I played was at a venue that I actually now own called Vivo. They're in Overland Park.
Oh yeah,
You own that?
I own that venue. Yeah.
Oh, Jace, yeah.
Oh shoot, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I have 2 partners in that venue. And I actually played that venue January of 2022, and I fell in love with the venue. You know, I have like this attachment to it, right? Yeah. And I told myself, I'm like, I'm gonna buy this venue, and I did. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I sold that venue out.
Fuck?
Yeah, we did 350 at that venue.
You sounded like, I ain't gonna lie, you sounded like Bruce Wayne right there.
Really?
Yeah, you know, like how he bought the bank or whatever, because like they wanted to buy the house or whatever, and you were like, oh, I like this venue, so I just bought the venue.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where, like, you know, I knew the old owners of it, and they were wanting to get out of it, and I played the venue, and I was like, you know, like, now I have this attachment to this venue. It's my first ever show, and it sold out, and you know, all these big artists popped out to come see me play. Like N9ne was there, Chris Calico was there. Yeah. You know, a lot of the Strange Music artists were there. All my friends, family, you know, my parents drove out. Like, my parents live in St. Louis. You know, if they're popping out, I had people from Miami pop out, LA pop out. It was crazy. And so I was like, you know, we have to put on now. Like, you know, so the goal is to buy the venue and really put on for artists in Kansas City and bring bigger artists out to where, you know, these locals can open for them and build a fan base here. So, yeah, so I bought that venue, and just the rest is history, you know. And I headlined a show at Voodoo, the Voodoo Lounge there in the casino, and that was insane. It was a
By any
mess.
chance, did that happen to be 3-4 months ago?
Yeah, that was my show. Yeah, in November.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I had Michael Queen on the show. Jerry Robinson, Kez, Vinny, and Liu Kang.
Okay.
Yeah. We played that show at the Harris, I think it is, the Voodoo Lounge. Yeah. There was a promoter that hit me up asking to play the show, and I couldn't say no to a beautiful venue like that. I was like, you know, I got to, and it was interesting, you know. It was the security and it was locked down there. It was wild. Like, it was like TSA going in there.
We were there in the front, but I mean, we really can't talk about why exactly, but I mean, there's a little bit of a situation. I mean, especially because we had cameras too, and you're like, oh, you can't bring this in here. And
it was like TSA, and
it was bad.
Like, my management team was trying to get in, and they have like credential passes, right? And they wouldn't even let them in. So like, my tour manager Amir was like, I have to go get Jack from the front door. Like, they're not even letting them in. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
you know.
and
So
we
it
didn't
wasn't
even
that
have.
bad then.
Yeah.
I thought it was just us.
No,
we didn't even
it was,
have passes either. So we just.
Well, what was crazy was I had to like, okay, so we had to like accommodate to a lot of people's tickets, right? Because they didn't really promote, and like, I guess it was also my fault too. Like, we didn't really know it was gonna be 21 and up. They didn't really specify it, right? Like, you know, we know it was in a casino. We get that, you know, but it's a venue. It's not like you're gambling, right?
Yeah.
Like you think of the restaurant there in the casino, you see little kids in there. So like, what makes it any difference? So we had people that were buying tickets that were like 18, 19, 20 years old that couldn't get in. I also had a bunch of people that had like expired IDs, or maybe they didn't bring their ID with them and they couldn't get in. I was like, what is going on?
But they got little kids in the food area, you said?
Oh yeah, like I mean, you think about it. Like you go to the casino and you see like the restaurants and stuff. Like you see kids going there all the time.
Was there alcohol in the venue though?
Yeah, but it's like any other venue, no? Like you go to the Midland or Uptown Theater or anywhere, like they serve alcohol. They just check your ID.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, we were bummed out we couldn't go in, so. Because it was a drive too.
Yeah, that's where we met Luke Kane. And then that's funny because low-key we couldn't. Everyone that you said, everyone that
you just mentioned.
You mentioned is gonna has been on the podcast or is gonna be on the podcast.
What did you say?
Vinny?
Vinny, he's actually gonna be on. I think
like
next
March
week.
2nd, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Vinny's
funny.
crazy.
Yeah.
So we were so bummed out because you're like, damn, the connections we could have met, like the people performing, but we ended up actually like
Connecting, which is crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy how life works.
That is wild. Yeah, there was a lot of talent on that lineup, you know, and I got to specifically pick the lineup. So I put in a lot of people that I believed in, and like I think that was gonna kill it, and they all did. So it was a great show.
That's good.
And then I was gonna ask you because I feel like this is like a top question that we get from like our DMs or whatever that I'm not quite able to answer. Since you're like, I feel like you're very stable where you're at with your music, and you know. So top question is, how can a starting up rapper, I guess, make his career more serious? Like it's like they're recording every day, they're putting work out. So what is something that they can do? That they're buying promotions, they're doing this. What's like another step that they can take to do?
Yeah. So when I take my manager Jack, I mention him all the time because he plays a big role, right? He's the dude that runs my day to day, and the thing is when an artist is on the come up and they're wanting to make their career more legit, right? The thing is you have to be legit, you have to do it. You have to do the things that make you legit. So like you mentioned earlier, my Instagram feed, right? So that's something that stood out. Now that's just something that is a little, it's a cheap, I guess you could say, add-on to an artist that could make something 10 times more worth of value. Because if I go and take photos from my iPhone and post them, granted iPhones have great cameras now, but like I take a photo from my iPhone but then I actually go get photos done, edited, and everything else, like it's gonna make my feed look 10 times better, and people are gonna be like, wow, like this dude obviously is taking it serious, right? Same thing with their music. I feel like artists, the thing that a lot of artists struggle with is that they're so in a rush. What's the rush, right?
Exactly.
You're especially the artists that are coming up are going to be like 18, 19, 20, 21. I'm 24 years old, so it's like these artists are rushing to put music out, they're rushing to do content, they're rushing to do that and this. Yes, be persistent and keep doing your thing, but at the same time, like, you should rather look at the quality of things than the quantity of things, because the quality is going to go 10 times farther, right? So my biggest tip to upcoming artists is don't rush, do your thing, make connections, network, meet the right people, and put yourself in the right positions to keep the growth of your career going, because at the end of the day, it is a business, it's not a hobby. This is something that people do to live, so if you want to make a living off of it, you have to like really, really grind and hustle and make sure you're doing it. So outsource, get people to mix your music for you. Yes, I get a lot of artists, they do a lot of their own producing, they do a lot of their own mixing, engineering and stuff. But if you had another set of ears doing it, they might have ideas that you might not have, and it could put yourself in a better situation because now somebody else touched the song, right? So now they're going to feel obligated to promote it. When I do a song, I have like 5 people that touch the song. we have the producer. I have myself. Then you have the engineer that runs the sessions. Then you have the mixing engineer that touches the sessions. And then you have the mastering engineer that touches the sessions. So it's like I have 5 people surrounding this one song that now they're a part of. It's a team effort. It's not just an Ashten effort. So now we're going to build this into a team, and we're going to blow this out of the water instead of me feeling obligated to having to do it by myself. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. Yeah, I always tell people that, like, the only things that I can come up with in my mind, like, as soon as I look at their pages, like, first their Instagram, just give them the quality. Because sometimes they tend to post a lot, and it'll be like a TikTok. Like, they'll have the TikTok on it. Like, so I'm like, hey, like, just, clean it up a little bit. Your quality too. Like, I know it's pricey sometimes for like mini V, like real videos, because like you said, you need to get camera quality.
Yeah.
As well with the pictures as well. Like, it's pricey as well. It's not. I say it depends, but I say if you're gonna take it serious, invest in your own career. So
investment for sure. Yeah, definitely invest in your career. Like I said too, like I said before, outsource. Invest in the people that's their job, right? Like you like photography, right?
Yeah.
I know nothing about photography, so I'm not gonna snap my own photos.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pay somebody to do it for me because I trust their judgment. I know that they're gonna do the job that I'm looking to get done.
Yeah.
So another big advice to artists is find a team that really believes in them. People that you can surround yourself to where you're getting put in positions to where it's going to only progress yourself.
Yeah. How can they find those teams? Is it just more like, is it a trust team, like people that you already know, or just reaching out to people?
It could be, right? It could be. I got put in a great position just because the manager that I have now was already in music. So he already had all the connection and network. Now, I get artists that don't have that, right? There's some artists that have managers that maybe are just best friends that want to see them win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's not always a bad thing either, because you're getting somebody that might be just as hungry as you that's going to do their own thing and go out and make those connections for you. So, like you could be an artist and you could be the manager, and you guys might not know nobody in the music industry, but you could be doing your due diligence and going out and reaching out to other managers, making those connections, hopping on Zoom calls, hey, nice to meet you. My name is so-and-so. I manage so-and-so. I noticed that you manage this person. Hey, what would it take for you to mentor me to put me in the right direction?
Mm-hmm.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. It's simple and easy.
Simple and easy.
People don't do the little steps to get there.
It's the little things that people don't think about in the music industry that doesn't get them to that next level, right? Because you're going to get the artists that find this as a hobby. That's just simple. I mean, you're going to get the people that they rely so much on a full-time job that they don't want to take the risk of just doing straight music.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're going to get the people that dropped everything for music and then maybe didn't make it because they didn't have the right circle around them. They might be the most talented artist in the world, but if you don't have that circle, you're not going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much money you have, you're not gonna be anything if you don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Now then you're gonna have the artists that have those great connections and network, and obviously they're gonna do way better than anybody else because they're getting put in, conferences. They're getting put in sessions with bigger artists. They could run into a session with so and so, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might get put in a session with this person that they can network. I have a buddy, I'm not going to mention his name because he might come on this podcast and tell the same story, but he got put in New York, right? And they were in a session in New York, and there was an artist that came in that they met that really progressed their career because of a simple conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So if he does come on here, I'll let him tell that story.
Yeah, no, that's very true. People need to hear that.
So where do you see yourself in 2 years from now?
2 years from now?
I ask everyone this.
Yeah, 2 years from now. I definitely see my career, going on a 10x when it comes to growth, right?
Yep.
As much as I hate saying it, but I want to go mainstream. I make pop music. I'm not a rapper. I'm not. So I want to do mainstream stuff, the whole Post Malone vibe, the Kid Laroi vibe, stuff like that, Justin Bieber. So I see myself, hopefully headlining a decent sized tour.
Yep.
I have realistic goals. Obviously, I have ambitious goals too.
Yep.
But my realistic goals, is I want to do a big tour. I want to be able to play, 2,000 cap rooms and maybe own a record label, something
Great.
cool, kind of
Yeah,
like
I see that.
building other artists while I'm still building too. Because I feel like that's the best way of doing it is if you're learning every day, you can always teach artists the same thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see you have is that your merch?
Yeah, it's a little logo of mine. I actually got this custom made from a company called Lonely Hearts Club.
Oh, okay.
They sent me like a whole promo box, and this
Yeah.
is one of the things in
That's
it.
hard.
That's
And
nice,
I love this, like my favorite jacket. Like, I wear this thing everywhere, I feel like.
So where can they listen to your music? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on all platforms. On Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Pandora, everything.
Yep.
Yep.
You got anything, Nye?
Just we appreciate you taking the time to be here today.
Of course.
And giving them the information, knowing about you as well. Keep working because you're doing a great job.
Appreciate it.
So
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Appreciate you guys for letting me come on.
We're ready to see you on that big record. So,
Doing some big stuff. I
big
appreciate you
stuff,
guys.
yeah.
We can't
Appreciate
wait
it.
to have you again 2 years from now, and you have that 10x.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank you so much for your time, bro. Thank you so much for coming all the way over here and us having you as a guest.
Of course.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
you.
Did you DM him, or how did we get in contact with? She's the one that manages the DM, so I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I was going through my requests on Instagram, and I never do. I try to stay away from the request.
Yep.
And I seen it, and I actually went to your guys' Instagram, and I was like, oh, they just did Michael. So I was like, I'm gonna hit him back. So
Yeah.
that's how you guys.
Yeah, I try to shoot my shot with the DMs every time.
Yeah,
so.
nice. She's on it, bro.
It worked.
Yeah.
So
Everybody thinks, or some people. Did you? Who do you think ran the Instagram? Like
I had no idea. I thought both of y'all. I thought both of y'all did it.
Well, kind of, but DMs is always her. Like I shoot the Kobe shots, like the hit or miss. Like there's some like I'll just be like, it's always when like I'm pooping or something or I'm feeling it, because it's at the most random times that like my DMs work. I have to be doing something so random at the point where like it's not right to be on your phone right now, and then I do it, and then somehow like they'll answer, and it works for like famous people or like people that are up there.
Yeah.
So I do that. That's
we've
my job.
had like a couple people, young Reese.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That was
he was texting us, and then he said whenever he got back from the city,
He started his
he'd
own
come back.
podcast, huh?
Yeah, but he started his own podcast.
But yeah,
so.
we appreciate you for your time, bro. Thank you so much for stopping by. Of
course,
make
again.
sure you guys check them out. All
Yes, sir.
platforms. We'll put your stuff in the
Down below.
description. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have any questions, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Peace out.
Peace.